So, um, using my 528 right now, I did cut up my high EQ about a notch or two, and I did adjust my EQ a little bit so that it sort of brings my voice up a little bit more, but it's than better than what I was doing because before it was giving me a really weird sound. I thought it was like too low somewhat. But I did find the best setting that works for me is the 528, and then I run it through my waves or silk vocal, and that's the best thing because I tried it with the SM7B by itself, but that was just kind of I don't know. It's kind of I don't know with my deep voice, and then the SM7B that's got a warm tone. It's just that mixture is just too low. And it's really hard to work with. And if you do the bass roll off on the SM7B or SM7DB, then you're cutting out too much. It's too deep of a curve. So it's better to do it with an EQ. So I mean, since I have the 528 E voice processor right here, because that was what I bought along my journey. Then I said, okay, I'll since it's right here, I might as well use it, and I set that up, and I put all the whole EQ, low, mid, and high, all of them are at 12 o'clock. I just moved the high EQ about up one or two notches. It's up two notches right now. I may bag it off one, but you just want to do it in like the little marks, just one increment, because it changes it quite a bit. So you want to be careful, and you kind of want to know what your starting point was. What did you change? So then, if you need to bag off, if it's too much, then you can just go back. So I moved it two notches. So if I listen to this and it seems like it's a little bit too much, then I can bag it off a notch because I know where I started. I know how much I moved it. So now I have a range. And also, just for those of you that are wondering, if you're using an SM7DB or SM7B and you get the Waves Silk processor, the low button, you want to be somewhere between 50 and 55. 50 is kind of, it's a little bit too much low end, but at 52, you're just a little bit below too much. But if you move it to 55, now you've taken too much of the low end out. So it's right in between 50 and 55 if you get the vocal processor, and which I highly recommend because, I mean, to save yourself the fucking headache for $40, you can't beat it. You absolutely cannot beat it. I'm surprised that they're letting that thing go for $40. Every podcaster's dream is in that plug-in. It's got a noise gate, it's got a de-esser, it's got the automatic EQ, it's got presets, you can adjust it. All the stuff that us regular podcasters, we struggle with that I've been struggling with for 6 months. Spending like 8 hours a day in this booth and not being happy with my sound and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and getting frustrated and finding other shit and paying for stuff and, buying equipment. And then they got this one vocal that just replaces all of that. It's a game changer. It's really a game changer, So if you're a home podcaster, which we all are, don't get me wrong, and you're looking for your sound to get better, Wave Silk Vocal, $40 will change your fucking life and save you a huge, huge headache. And you can also, sell the whole thing. You can tell people, okay, you can get their file and just say, hey, I'll redo it. They send it to you. You run it through the Waves Vocal. Hey, is this okay? It's a little bit too much low end. Okay, bring it back. Bam. It just really quick. And it's a really easy way to make money with the processor. So, it's definitely something to keep in mind. It's game changer. That's all I'll say. You can take my advice, or you can, keep buying equipment, keep buying mixers, keep buying this, keep buying that, and you'll figure it out. Because all of my stuff is free. I use Audacity, which, believe it or not, all of my plugins, they work in Audacity. And one trick with Audacity, if you're trying to upload this stuff and you get a file not found, module 126, the reason it's doing that is because for some reason, your graphics card has to be disabled because it's stopping the plugins from working for some reason. And I found that out because I talked to the team at I think it was Waves or Isotope. It was one of them. No, you know what? It was Sweetwater. That's who it was. And they have a great team. I had an issue with the plugin, which is what I just said, the file 126 module not found. I couldn't figure out what it was. That happened with a couple plugins. So the guy, they remote into your desktop, and then they're looking at the same screen that you're looking at, and then they figure it out real quick. Real nice guy, real, excellent customer service. Excellent. So that I would recommend going through Sweetwater because of their customer service, great customer service. But as far as Waves is concerned, it's pretty simple. Once you download their Wave Central on your desktop, that's pretty simple because it's pretty straightforward. You just open the Wave Central on your desktop, buy your the Silk processor, and then just hit install. It installs it on your computer. If you don't see it on Audacity, you just go to your tools and then go to Plugin Manager, and then just hit rescan for plugins, and right there it will go find it, and then you just go open it. But the only thing that I see with Audacity is I don't think that you can open it. You can't use it while you're recording in Audacity. But once you get your file, once it's done, then you can, replay your file, and you can sit there and adjust the plug-in, whatever. So I like to do it either way because I've used I've used Reaper and it's got some issues. I tried FL Studio. I have that, and it's got some issues, whatever, with my microphone, you know. And I was glad that I could get it to work in Audacity because Audacity is pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty straightforward for, just your average person that really, not too tech savvy or whatever. So that was a good thing. So I use it in Audacity. And I actually use all of my plugins in Audacity. I got a crap load of plugins. And if you're wondering, I'm not sure if Audacity has a plugin that works like Wave Silk Vocal. And like I said, trust me, it'll be the best $40 that you've spent in quite a while. Because it's like $40 to save yourself hours and hours and hours of headache and not being happy with whatever your settings are, hating your voice, and let's be honest, if you hate what you're hearing, it's really hard to be comfortable with what you're putting out. You may say, well, I hate my voice, I'm still keep putting out episodes and it is what it is, but you're still doing other stuff and that is still on your mind about, okay, man, I'm putting out this bad episode. I gotta figure out a way to clean that up. And then, you get home and your free time, you're constantly thinking about it. And it's like, well, let me go in here and try to figure this out. With Waves, Silk Vocal, one and done. You figure out what app works for you. It's really easy. It's got a couple buttons that you can adjust for your lows, your highs, female voice presets, male voice presets, a silk preset, which is my favorite. Even with the Rodecaster, it's like I'm gonna cut that on. My voice, it might change a little bit, but it's only because I got to cut on the processing to kind of see these settings in my Rodecaster. So with the Rodecaster, it's like on the EQ, the high bell is like 3,500. The mid bell is like 246. The low bell is like 121. High gain 1.4 dB. Mid gain -3. Low gain -4. And that seems to work a little bit. Okay, now I cut that off. It probably was a little bit thicker when I did that, but what you want to do is you want to use the exciter. The exciter bottom buttons are just like the depth and punch. Same thing. That's all the depth and punch control is that exciter. So you just adjust those. I would recommend cutting them all the way down to maybe 7 o'clock. Maybe. You might even want to go 6:30. So there's maybe a quarter of that line showing. And you're good because it's just the Rodecaster has way too much low end. It just does, and that's just it's not a bad thing. I mean, they tried their best to get as close to a podcast sound as they could, and they did a pretty good job. Don't get me wrong, but the only thing is that they're I think that they I don't know. their presets are just way too bottom heavy. You know, I mean, even somebody with a high voice, I mean, it's still like, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it might sound good maybe as a YouTube video, but as far as the podcast, I've tried it, you know, and it's not, you know, it doesn't work for sounding good across all devices. So I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not knocking it, but I wouldn't recommend it. So, but that's all. Just wanted to get a quick thought out, and you know, another episode, and hopefully that helps somebody that's listening, and that's my goal. I want to grow, but I also want to help other people who are on the same journey as me.